Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure Bone Breaker wave of X-Men Marvel Legends, Havok. Now, we had a Havok not that long ago that was kind of a stinker. Not the X-Force one, the one that was basically a solid black figure that was terrible. And this one is trying to do the same thing. But maybe it's not as bad, maybe it's okay. I mean, he does wear a solid black suit, so what can Hasbro do? Well, I'll tell you, but first we have to get this figure off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands to the top of his head, not the top of the little weird thingy, about 16 centimeters, right around there. And that's gonna make him just about, let's say 6 3/8 inches. Now, before we get into it, question of the day, which version of Havok is your favorite? For me, it is definitely X-Force. Is it X-Force, X-Factor, whatever. The Havok in the jacket. I can't remember what team it is anymore. I don't sleep anymore. The baby is like, no, you're not gonna get sleep. You're not gonna do anything but feed me and clean my poop. So, I don't remember anything, but I like that one. Yellow and blue. Okay, let's get on to this figure. First things first, I don't think there are too many superheroes that are actually shaped like this, so I'm gonna do a Photoshop for you guys. Let you see what I think about that. But here's the thing. A lot of you out there, all of you Marvel Legends collectors, I hear it all the time in the comment section. You hate the Bucky cap mold. We've seen it too many times. I agree, we've seen it a lot. But short of the weird proportions in the legs, which this guy suffers from too, by the way, only not as bad, it's a much better looking mold. So much better looking. It doesn't have a butterfly joint, but it looks so much better and so much more accurate for most characters. Look at the artwork for this guy. Does that look the same to you guys? These are not heroic looking figures. This mold, particularly with the low shoulders, that doesn't look like him. It doesn't look like any character ever, really. Also, look right here. This is a good example. Look at that. You see that little chunk? That little V shape right there? That's the muscle this is supposed to look like right here. This thing that I always complain about. See how that's not sticking out in an incredibly weird way? You just see that little dip in right where the hip connects. Look at this one. See how that sticks out and it throws off the entire look of the figure? I can't wait to Photoshop this body again because it looks so much better when it doesn't look like the figure actually looks. But we'll just set that aside. This figure is a solid black action figure made of parts we've already seen except for the head and accessories. $25, by the way. You are paying $25 for a white dot, a new head, and some accessories. Does that seem alright to you guys? Solid black plastic, reused mold. No shading. And by the way, the paint that's on there, not even good. Big chunk missing at the top. I know that's just mine, but hey, it's mine, and that's what I'm reviewing. And then it's not even like airbrush. There's not shading. It's little dots. So it doesn't look great. I mean, it's fairly clean otherwise, but I mean, that's what we're paying for $25 and a head, which is also dot matrix, but it looks pretty good. But that's it. And this isn't even metallic. It's just gray plastic. I've always thought it to be metallic, but hey, we'll let that one slide. So aesthetics, like, it's not a good sculpt, really. Like, the individual muscle groups look pretty good, mostly. But as a whole, it's not a good sculpt. And it's a reused body for $25. So aesthetically speaking, like, hey, you want to raise the price point, the reviews get harsher. I'm going to give this one a very generous 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10. The head sits way too high and the body looks goofy. Alright, on to the accessories. We get some cool Havok accessories, not just weird wrist thingies that are the same as every other figure. Some people are saying they look too much like bubbles. I mean, I could see that, mostly because they're round and blue, but that's how Havok's drawn, and this is based on, as far as I can tell, one particular source image, which I'll post, and so I get it. I don't mind it. Do I wish it was more clear with more distinct lines rather than these big chunky ones? Yes. But I get it, so I don't really care. I'm not going to bother putting the other one on. I'll do that in the photos. But you get one for each hand. and you get the one on his back. So I get it. I like it. I do seem to remember, I could be wrong, we'll see if I look it up in the source image thing. I thought we usually see it kind of radiating from his chest and not his back, but yeah, I mean, I like that we got some new accessories. That's kind of cool. Could they be a lot better? Yeah, but hey, I'll take it. This is fine. So I'll give the accessories a 7 out of 10. They're pretty cool, but that's all we get. So, you know, for 25 bucks, no alternate face. Like, so he's using his powers, doing all the bubbling. I know it's not bubbles. But his face is like, no, I'm not having any of that. You, body, can do all the work you want, but I am not reacting. I am going to stare straight ahead solemnly. I am the most stoic person named Havok ever. Alright, so let's move on to the Articulate. I'm sorry, I'm being very sarcastic in this review, and it's just because I'm tired of reviewing things that aren't even close to what they should be. 25 bucks for this. That's not... Okay, Articulation. The head can look all the way up. It can look all the way down. It is a lollipop. It's very high on that ball peg. It can rotate or lean side to side a little bit. It's not as good as a double ball peg would be, but it works well enough other than being very high up. And for the shoulders, butterfly joint is very stuck, but then once you free it up, it is like, this is one of the better butterfly joints for sure. It works nicely. Shoulders can... Sometimes you can tuck them in, sometimes you can't. It depends on which release, I guess. I can't get mine to tuck that well. There we go. That's better. So they're about horizontal, but it's a struggle because of the way it's sculpted. You do get your full rotation, of course, bicep swivel. We do still have the really bubbly arms with the tiny shoulders that are very low. But you do get your rotation. Your elbow joint is all right. Wrist swivel and hinge. Ab crunch goes back a little bit, makes him look super pregnant. Goes forward pretty far, kind of a harsh angle there. Don't really need that, but we have it. And then, don't need that harsh angle. I mean, you do get your waist twist. That's pretty normal. Hips go forward, but out to the side because of the way they sculpted it. Pretty far forward, but definitely out to the side. Way more than should be. They don't really go back too far. Going out to the side, almost full on splits. So that's pretty good. I like that. Don't need much more than that. Thigh swivel is obviously a thigh swivel. Double jointed knees work nicely. You get a boot swivel if you like them. I don't particularly because they break the sculpt, but they do help with the ankles, so that's totally up to you. This one's relatively smooth. Ankles go all the way forward and all the way back, and your ankle rocker is really good on this release. But you can do a little bit of that and make it perfect. This guy does have the pointed feet, so I'd like to pose another question of the day. I have asked this before, but how do you guys feel about your superhero feet? For me, I don't like the pointed toes, except for very few figures. I don't like the sock boots where they're shaped like feet, and I don't like the ones that are pointed. I want the one in between. Square off the toe. Please, square off the toe. That's how I feel about it. If you guys like the pointy toes, you can let me know, but I want the squared off toes. Alright, so articulation on this guy is average 7 out of 10. Okay, so final verdict on this figure. I mean, if this was a $20 figure, it'd be a lot easier for me to go higher, but it's not. And honestly, 20 bucks is too much for a solid black collectible action figure of a mold we've already seen that's not very good, and then a head that has no real effort put into it. Like, it doesn't have any... It doesn't look like he's doing anything. What's the point of having effect parts or using his powers if it looks like he's not using his powers? So he's going to stand there with just emanating bubbles? Again, I know it's not bubbles. It's not happening for me, guys. This is not... I feel like the people making these, or the people in charge of the people making these, or somewhere along the line, somebody who is involved in making the decisions about making these just doesn't care at all about the property, about the fun factor, about the people collecting it, any of it. I'm not saying that guys who are into it aren't into it. I'm sure there are. The sculptors, the hype guys, whatever. I'm sure there are people who are super into Marvel, into collecting, into whatever, into the sculpting, all of that. But somewhere along the lines, we're losing that in translation. Somewhere between them and the consumer, it's just not happening. And for 25 bucks, this is not worth it. I'm going to give it a final rating of a generous, because of at least some new accessories and a new head, a generous 5 out of 10. This is 25 bucks, 4 of this for $100. Think of it that way. Think of it that way. That sounds silly, but think of what you can buy for $100. Would you like 4 of this? I don't think so. I don't think so. It's a lot of money, $25. This is not worth it. Let me know what you guys think. Again, I am pinning comments now. I think I can only do 1 per video. I don't think it lets me do more than 1. So if you say something clever or quirky or funny or whatever, something I appreciate, whatever it is, especially if it's a compliment, I will pin it if you're that lucky person. So you can leave comments below. Let me know what you think about this figure. If you liked the video, you can give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, you can give it a thumbs down. Please do share the video either way. If you hate it, let people know how bad I am. If you loved it, let people know how great I am. And if you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I have new videos almost every single day and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.